What's up, folks? Casual Dad here with another Warhammer Combat Cards Warlord Guide. And today we're looking at the latest Supreme Commander Trajan Valoris, Captain General of the Adeptus Custodes. And what you're looking at right now is him at max level. He comes in at 86 squad points and comes in and tops at a whopping 460 hit points. Which, if I heard the announcement live stream yesterday, and I'll link to that in the description of this video correctly, I believe that puts him at the highest flat hit points of any of the Supreme Commanders so far, and that somewhat offsets his somewhat lower top attacks values than the standard, you'll see. But he does come in standard with the same two traits that he has as a bodyguard card. So this is another case of a warlord who also has a bodyguard card. You can't use them in the same decks, but they are both available if you want to. I know some players find that confusing. I personally actually like it a lot because it means I can still use Trajan as a bodyguard, because I use him a lot in quite a few of my decks and would really miss him. But this copy does come in with both of the same traits, the primary trait of Furious Charge, secondary trait of Inspiring Presence, and he's legendary, so both of those will go up to rank 4. And to take a look at his ability, Guardians of the Golden Throne. If a friendly card has 50 or more base wounds, so above half health, remaining, boost its attack stats by 20%. If it has less than 50% base wounds remaining, reduce incoming damage by 20%. So I really enjoy the theme here because it just makes your army better. But then also you start out as a Grey Fact, so you could spend all your deck points, and then end the game as a Vol, which I kind of like that it kind of throws back to two existing warlords. And one thing I'm thinking about a lot with these Supreme Commanders is that they should be roughly if you're going to balance them in the standard ladder, you should expect them to be pretty much the same as normal warlords, but with 60 fewer deck points, right? So the commanders themselves are extremely powerful, but you look at the cards that you lose out of that, and they do rely on leaning into their abilities and very, very efficient decks, where the standard ones have a lot more to play with. And that, again, is the standard ladder. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at a couple ladder decks, a couple things that I'm using to actually level with this guy, and see how he holds up just in the ladder at level 3, which is what I have. And then we're going to take a look at the current max level campaign and play at least one game with him at just like absolute beast mode, which has been a lot of fun because we have a max level 400 deck points campaign, so we can really kind of lay into this and see him at his absolute peak. He'll be in the store throughout the week, and again, there's a campaign through this weekend. So let's go ahead and jump in. We're going to take a look at the deck that I built with him real quick, and then we will see how it goes. And now I am actively laddering with servants, and I have had my possibly fastest run to Terra ever, which I've really enjoyed. So these are going to be hard mode, extremely challenging games right out of the gate. So you're going to actually see some challenging matches with this guy, which is something I haven't shown with the Supreme Commanders up to now. So a couple things here. I mentioned already that he's very expensive at 86 deck points by himself. At level 3, he also doesn't compensate for that very much with his base stats, so I really have to lean into his ability. Now, we talked about that, right? So the damage buff and the defense buff both stack. So if you bring things like shields and regen, those will keep shields, regen, Medicae, taunt. All of those defensive abilities will keep your cards topped off so they're at high health, so they are punching harder for as long as possible. But then also things like fear and taunt again will stack with the defensive buff as well. So if you have cards that have fear if you have cards that have fear or taunt, I don't think there's a single fear and taunt card in the game yet. Missed opportunity. But yes, so anything that has fear or taunt and in addition has the extra 20% damage debuff is extremely durable for the hit points. So that is something to play into. You can see in the deck I've got here, I'm leaning mostly on efficiency, somewhat lower cost cards. But they have 2 shields in here. I've got a big game hunter in here in Furious Charge, so I get the bonus attack and then also the bonus damage against big targets, which help me chew through stuff. And then I also have the, I believe he also has big game hunter. Yeah, big game hunter and target acquired in Eisenhorn. But the big reason I'm bringing him is because he has decent melee damage, and this is a melee deck, and he's got a ton of hit points, so he benefits from both. The more hit points your cards have, the more time they spend in both states, both the high and the low, the offensive and defense state of Trajan's trait. This deck has not been particularly effective, so we're going to go ahead and give it a try. But looking at these, you do kind of want to pick an attack theme. I have personally gone with melee here with a little psychic and a little ranged on top of it. We're going to kind of talk about some other options too, but I'm going to go ahead and jump in and actually play this. I did mention that Inspiring Presence and the ability stacking, the ability also stacks with Inspiring Presence. So if you have a max level Inspiring Presence that gives your cards the plus 40% to attack damage, it'll be plus 60% as long as they're above half health, which is significant. Now let me check something on this. I believe I saw... Nope, okay. Some of these drones are infantry that I found out the other day, so anti-infantry is actually very effective against them. Ooh, right out of the gate. I don't know what I want to put against that. Yeah, double taunt drone, great. No barrage though, so I'm not going to lose multiple shields on this, which is good. I'll go ahead and pop him in here. And so looking at this, you've got the really nice sword animation on these guys showing when their buffs are triggered. A note on the timing, the buffs seem to recalculate at the end of the turn, so if you're taking multiple shots, even if it would push you down into that defense... Oh boy. Ow. So they went into the defensive buff mode. We're going to go ahead and see what we can do here. That's pretty tough right out of the gate, Shazo. I don't like it. But we were still hitting extremely hard with that big game hunter. Oh yeah, there we go. Okay, took him out. So I was worried about him reducing some of my shields here. This still is going to be a real tough match, but not as bad as it could have been. And you can see on the left there, that defensive buff probably saved Hicks. Yeah, and let's see. He's the only one with shields, and I got or with melee attack, and I need to clear. Ooh, God, pardon my French. It's not French. What am I talking about? So we got the Furious Charge. I think I can close this out, but it's going to be tight. So we're going to have to ready here, do some defensive damage, and hope that buffs us enough for the counter attack. And so you saw there that the defensive buff on Valoris, it only switched from offense to defense after I'd taken those hits. Not enough. Okay, level 3 is not enough. If I hadn't taken quite as much damage back, I may have pulled that off. But so yeah, at level 3, it's an extremely challenging game. I don't know that that's the best deck, but it's one of the ones I built. So let's look at some of the alternate cards I was going to talk about. Also mentioned in the stream is at some point we're actually going to have multiple deck builds per Warlord. Any second now. There we go. So whenever you actually go in and build your deck, you'll have multiple tabs at the top, so you can bookmark different deck builds. So you don't have to switch back and forth. You don't have to constantly rebuild and remember what you had in there, which is really nice. So I can build up multiple decks and then quickly just pop in and out of games. So like I was saying, Medicae is extremely powerful here. I'm just going to go along with my stream of consciousness. We'll remove these guys because they're a little too squishy. I like the shield guys, but I think they're too expensive for the damage that they do because they really need to be offensive. We'll take him out and see what happens. I'm going to throw the other Medicae in there. Interestingly, you can do kind of a horde deck here with these guys, because these guys plus Inspiring Presence and this guy will go with some of the very cheap cards, and then we'll stack with some of the really expensive stuff. Because these guys are actually very good if you bump up their damage by 20%, and then an additional possible more than that if you have Inspiring Presence in here. A couple other cards that I've played around with that I really like. Ooh, I got a level, really. Don't have the gold to do it. Bummer. That's a good one. I mentioned that Regen, Fear, and Medicae are really powerful here. I did a range deck with this guy, which has just very good stats for the cost and has that regen, can have the precision shot, stacks extremely well with Inspiring Presence, is just an all-around very good card that, again, has that regen to kind of top it off and keep it just above the threshold to keep doing extra damage as long as it's on the board. And at 22 points, that's a really great buy. Likewise, Harper is another extremely strong piece for the same reasons, where he will build up the Berserk damage bonuses over time and then be doing extra damage, but then his damage increase with Berserk will compensate for losing the damage buff as he goes down to half health. So one of the downsides to this is not like Greyfax. I mentioned Greyfax, but it's pretty clear right away that he's not like Greyfax because he doesn't have the... not enough for that. He doesn't have the increase to hit points, which is a significant difference. So another one that came to mind for me, of course, is Celestine, because she will have the offensive and defensive buffs twice. Already is a heavy-hitting card, already has Inspiring Presence. So that she was one of the first ones I thought when I saw the abilities teased on the stream. I was like, Celestine. So we're going to try that, and we're going to kind of thin this out a little bit. I wanted to throw this stuff in here. If you're doing a ranged deck, this guy is excellent. He's got great stats, his cost is okay, very high ranged attack, and he has base fear and a bunch of hit points, all of which combines really well with Trajann's abilities. See what else we got. I also do love the area effect psychers. They're extremely powerful. And then this guy, if you have a high enough level of Strachan, a really great one, because he's got both the regen and the berserk if you have him high enough level, to the point where he just kind of is the perfect piece in a Trajan deck because he's durable, he gets damage buffs over time, and he's got a bunch of hit points that will keep topping themselves off, so he's a really, really powerful piece to keep in the game for a long time. Really like him, would love to throw him in there. See, I've got 45 deck points left. Let's see what we do. And these guys get really expensive really quickly, so I could do this guy. It's a nice all-rounder with great base stats. We got 14, all right. And this, I think, already feels a little bit better just because I've got some true heavy hitters in here. Well, I really don't, actually. It's very spread out. But we'll see what I get at 14. We'll go ahead and throw you... No, I don't need another Inspiring Presence. Oh, yeah, there it is. Okay, we'll get you in there. And then we're going to drop this guy, which gives us 8. So we're looking for another melee card. Ooh, all right. For that price point, since I'm leaning melee, he's a really good piece. I do have these guys in here just as meat shields. We'll see if they are effective or not. I can flex into ranged a little bit, but mostly I'm relying on the ranged counterattacks and just these guys to hold down lanes. We'll see how this goes. I am going to play one more game, maybe, with this in the ladder. We'll see how this goes, just because I want to try the Psychic one that I usually do with Greyfax and see how it compares. And I'm going to have to make up all these trophies later. But I wanted to be sure to try this and give it a good try, because the wheels are turning. I really like the design of this guy, because he feels like a very... Yeah, we're going to poison you. Feels like a very well-designed Supreme Commander, because he's definitely powerful, obviously. But on top of that, he's still got a bit of a handicap in that he's so expensive. You really have to be efficient and very, again, efficient in crafting your deck, because you have to build the deck around him, and it can be challenging to do so. Go ahead and hit this. Yeah. Yeah, that's a decent level Stormlord. It's a decent level Stormlord, so he should quickly chainsaw through my chaff cards, and we get a little attack back. This guy's definitely taking some damage. I will say, so far, the Supreme Commander that I am most confident leveling up the most quickly is Gaz. Gaz feels very effective basically at any single level, just because his power scales with the amount of hit points you have in the deck, so, and the amount of hit points your opponents have in their decks. So even though he does get a lot less... Ooh, that's pretty good. Yeah, so not very high attack stats right now, not very impressive, but he's level 3. There we go. Because Gaz's damage stacks with the hit points you have in your deck. Those hit points scale with points, and the hit points your opponents have also scale with your deck points. So it's kind of a nice balance where he actually scales with the difficulty of the game, where most of the other warlords don't as much. There's kind of a ceiling. And of course, free damage is good. So I hit a very nasty Glogothrox deck the other day and really, really enjoyed playing that with Gaz, because I kept getting lucky and lucking into a lot of kills there, which is a great time. And I did that. I'm going to go ahead and change this out and dump it. So just log this one. I do think Celestine is an amazing starting point. You could probably change this around any number of ways, but Celestine herself is extremely good in this combo of abilities because of the combination of Inspiring Presence, Endless, so she'll get the bonus to attack and the bonus to defense twice. She's at a reasonable price point and will supercharge everything else you put in there. So I really like that. The rest of the deck could, yeah, it was all right. This guy is a great piece, and this one's pretty good too. I did enjoy having the poison in there, but it wasn't all that effective in that game, but it could have been if I was up against something like an Akaran or a heavy fear deck. All right, so we're going to go with the Psychic deck that I usually run with Greyfax, which should all fit because I'm not having to not spend deck points with him, but we'll see. It's not going to be quite as powerful because I usually have a higher bonus points, but we'll see how it goes. Oh, look at that, I have 50 points to spend. Wow, okay. So I've got my 3 Psionic Blast Psychers, and then I've got 50 points. So 50 could be Celestine. Plus 5, we'll throw a taunt in there. We'll have it be as similar to what I'm used to running as possible. And I just kind of want to see how this works, because in my Greyfax deck, I believe I have a 30 something. I want to say a 35% buff. And it's those 3 Psychers plus the 12-point Inspiring Presence. Severina Rain, the Commissar. And it's one of my more reliable and especially fast Servants decks. Ooh, I see you. I see you too. Yuck. Okay. Wow, there is not much in that deck. He's only got 1 more Bodyguard in there, so whatever it is going to hit extremely hard. But so do I. Ah, yeah, there we go. Look at that. 2401 with the Incarn in there. Okay. Ouch. And we switch to the defensive mode. Very nice. Ooh, he's going to Psyker me right back. Oh! That was a lot of damage. That was a whole lot of damage. Okay. Throw you in there. And now let's check the timing on this. So, yeah, okay, so the buff does switch between attacks, so it doesn't hit at the end of the turn. What I was looking for is when it switches from the damage buff to the defense buff, and it does look like it switches mid-attack, so you're not going to have a moment where you you don't switch in time to save you if there was an attack in there that was going to be close, that would be saved by the defense buff. Ta-da! Just so many statuses. So, wait a minute. So she died, she came back, then her stats were debuffed by fear, buffed by inspiring presence, buffed by the trait. Yeah, there was a lot of stuff going on there. Yeah, that feels pretty darn good. That is a good deck. Okay, I love it. Let's see it. So that felt really strong. It was a really good matchup having something that could burn down like that. But still, I enjoyed how that played, and it was very fast, which is also good. All right, so let's take a look at the campaign. We're going to do at least 1 game at max level just to go ahead and take a look at what I've got there. And just to kind of play that, because I do love the... what's going on here? Got some weird pop-up stuff going on. We'll see how this goes. So, going to the campaign. Oh, hey, look at that. I wanted to play a little bit into this so that when I got to the actual video, these would be somewhat challenging matches that you could see. And we'll see how that goes. Okay, so just to talk about this, it's very similar, but I have a little bit of everything. So I've got the shield card in there, this guy. I do have a berserk card in there because max level berserk plus those hit points plus the defensive buff is really, really good. I've got inspiring presence in here. I've got this guy just as good all-rounder, my area effect psyker, this guy for the defensive shooting and another inspiring presence, and just because he's extremely good at max level against shields. And then, of course, this thing, because if you get a chance to run a max level 400 deck point game, you got to put one of these guys in there if you have it. Because there are very rarely chances to play a non-PvP campaign where you can really bust these guys out and flex with them a bit. But I love getting to see them at their full glory. It's pretty great. And you take this guy's base stats and buff him by 20%. It's pretty good. We'll throw an Inspiring Presence in there too. Yes. Alright, that was a little bit unfortunate. Splat. Splat. Yeah, it's they've got some really nasty stuff out there, but yeah, you know. It is funny. So I played these decks a little bit. I played around with this, and then I went ahead and watched Shinto Bean's recorded video of the new Supreme Commander, and I was very amused by how similar our deck builds ended up being, especially for the max level. I don't know if he did any for the standard ladder, but still, the cards we were looking at and kind of how we talked about the decks felt pretty similar. So, hey, glad to be on the same page. And I will link to that in my description as well. Ooh. Ooh. Doesn't have much of a melee buff built up. Ooh, yeah, I don't want anywhere near that. And this does also have the modifier where every card that stays on the table gets +5 melee attack at the start of each player turn. Ooh, man, that, ooh. Manifest Nightmare ability coming in clutch. We're going to go ahead and have Trajan himself finish out the game. Splat. Didn't quite do it, but this will. Boom! There we go. There's that. I'm going to do one more. We'll try the same deck just to see it. Do I want to change this out? We'll go ahead and change it out. Just real quick. I want to sub out some cards and kind of see what else I can do here. we're up against Necrons who do a lot of shooting, we'll just take everything out. Start from scratch. Okay, so we're looking for cards that really benefit a lot from the trait. We're also looking to get some bonus. I'm probably going to ignore the bonus for the moment. Let's see here. So we'll throw Celestine in there. We'll throw... How does she... Max level. Those stats are terrible. So we're going to go... Oh, yeah. Okay. So we'll do our regen and our Berserk guys, because I really want to see what they do. We're going to focus a little bit more on range. Where are you, Strachan? Well, there's him. That is Strachan. Where's the other guy? What other guy am I talking? That one. Yeah, okay. Wait, God, I'm even looking at it. Boy, it is actually quite challenging to spend all of those points at 400. Okay. So we're doing a shooting deck. I don't want to go straight to the really big stuff, but we can go ahead and do some of it. Let's do this guy. Yeah. Yeah. Boop. Yeah, that used up a lot of those points. Okay. And then I'll throw this guy in here, and then we have 14 left. That's a familiar hole. Yeah, Severina Rain. We'll throw you in there, too. So our backup Inspiring Presence. That's a lot of Inspiring Presence. We don't need that. Okay, 14. Ooh. Yeah. We'll do that. Sweet. Okay. Let's give it a try. See how it goes. Ba-ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba-ba-da-bum. Of course, we want our Berserkers in there early. Ooh, that's not... You don't want to see that. Oh. Oh, I really hoped this thing moved. So we already got Berserk in there. Do a little melee, because that's kind of our strength at this point. This guy's already going down, but he's certainly hit harder than you'd expect a 20-point card to do, except he's up against a 22-point card. Oh, gross. Okay. Okay, so here's what we're going to do here. And then we're going to target acquired whichever one of these guys. No, I don't have target acquired. Okay. We definitely got him on the melee. Let's go ahead and do that. Nice. Took down the Inspiring Presence he's got if he doesn't play another one. Ouch. Okay, alright. Guess he doesn't want to shoot me either. What is... Okay, alright, here we go. 600 damage. I think that kills it. I'm definitely going to take some damage back, but wow, that was quite the punch, buddy. Wow. And he did range back. Alright. And I will comfortably take that guy out. Very nice. Well done, everyone. Well done. Oh, that's a bummer. Oof, man, this thing. Oh, no. Oh. Alright, Trajann's going to have to close out this one himself. Or not. Wow, that defensive buff makes a massive difference for something this big. That is fear. I really want it to die. Yeah, target acquired is your friend. Even / especially at max level. Oh yeah, no, this should not be a problem. And that defense buff was not enough to save my dude over on the side there. Boop. So max level 177. Yeah, 177. Max level with his bonus intact when he has over 400 hit points. Or over half hit points, excuse me. That's pretty good. All right, cool. Well, so that was it. If you have any questions or comments, let me know. But otherwise, enjoy TRAJANN Valoris. Cheers.